Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am on week 3 of my 100 book challenge. This is where I have challenged myself to read 100 books that I already own before buying another book. And I have finished book number 14. It is The Italian Connection by Gardner Francis Fox, the first book in the Sexecutioner series, originally published in 1972. This is a smutty, naughty crime novel. This is a woman named Cherry Delight. She has been hired and works for the New York Mafia Prosecution and Harassment Organization. Do your own acronym for that. And it starts out when she's meeting up with a man from the mafia who owns a funeral home, and she is trying to persuade him. And how is a beautiful young redhead supposed to persuade a middle-aged man? Well, you can imagine. It involves getting rid of a lot of her clothing. And during the persuasion part, the man dies, which is really not what Cherry Delight wanted, because she is supposed to get him to take her to Italy, where he is going to be meeting up with some people to get a device of some sort. She doesn't know quite what it is, but it's super secret. So what does she do? She just goes to Italy without him and sort of pretends that she is under his orders. And how does she convince people that she is true and loyal to the mafia? Well, it does involve taking off her clothes a lot and persuading people of both sexes that she is a woman to be trusted. This book is entirely without any redeeming qualities. The writing is fairly substandard. The plotting is rather typical. But you know, I kind of liked it. Who would know? Anyway, there are more books in the Sexecutioner series. I don't know if I'll get to any. Maybe I will. They are on Kindle Unlimited, so why not sample it and see who else Cherry Delight will persuade by taking off her clothes. It's a very gray and rainy morning here in Virginia. Looking out of my sunroom, not a lot of sun today, just fog. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear the sound of the creek in the background. I have finished my 15th book. This is the last of the Amazon creature feature books, and I'm a little disappointed that there are no more to read. And this is Big Bad by Chandler Baker. Baker is an author that I am unfamiliar with, but I am going to seek out some of her other books, because this one was one of the better of the short novels in the creature feature selection. And it is the only traditional creature that you will find in this collection. Can you guess what type of creature is involved? Well, it involves a husband and a wife. The wife is a successful college professor. She's going places in anthropology. The husband had his time. He was studying philosophy, but there was a compromise when they moved out to Oregon to be in a very secluded house. There's a good reason they need a secluded house. And I won't tell you much more. other than you go into this going, oh, there's a creature somewhere. And then you discover the truth. And again, I liked this as a short little novel. And again, I will definitely miss the Creature Feature Collection. I enjoyed it so much. Today is a very bright and sunny morning in Virginia. So different from yesterday's video. I have finished my 16th book, Rogue Male, by Geoffrey Household. This book was published in 1939, maybe 1938. It is the story of a man in a foreign country, an Englishman. He is getting beaten up by some thugs and left to die in the woods. And it is a story of his escape and how he gets out of the foreign country and back into England, and he is a wanted man. The police are looking for him. Other people are looking for him because he has done something that he's not supposed to have done. And is the story of a man out for revenge. He is out to kill an unknown great leader, or tried to, and failed to. Now, the great leader is not named in the book, but if you look at the cover, you can see that it is a very famous Bavarian corporal. I'll go with not naming him. And the book is not really about his assassination attempt. It is about his attempt to get a life back after he is a wanted man. And that may include killing some people. And it is a story, as I said, of his survival and what he needs to do. In his other life, he was a wealthy man in Britain. So he has financial resources. But you know, being a wanted man means you can't touch your financial resources that easily. Although he has a man in charge of his money who's willing to look the other way and slide him his cash. And is this a great book? It's a very interesting book. The survival part of him trying to see how he can survive is kind of interesting, but a little too manly man kind of for me. He does form a friendship with a cat. And if you know my channel, you know I like my cats. So I like that about him. But what is not really told in this book is just the background. As I said, this was written in 1938, 1939. It is about assassinating Hitler. This is really before World War II got started. So there were people out there who understood the dangers of the Bavarian corporal. And I found that very interesting. I can recommend reading this. I don't think it's a really great book in the end, but if you ever see a copy at a used bookstore, like I did, where I picked this up for $1, it is definitely worth your time. Pip is applying to be my assistant video editor. He has no editing skills. He has never read a book. His spoken English is rather limited. Number of books that he's read? None. I think I'll hire him anyway. I have finished book 16, Below, by Laurel Hightower. This is the second book that I have read by her. I read Crossings by her about a year ago, and I liked that well enough. This is the story of Addie, a woman 40-ish or so. She is recently divorced. She is still having conversations with her ex-husband, Brian, in her mind. And she is traveling through a rural part of West Virginia on a snowy evening alone. She actually doesn't like driving very much. And she befriends a truck driver at a stop. And the truck driver kindly gives her an old CB set and says, you know, while we're driving through these remote backwoods of West Virginia, you can talk to me on the CB. And they do. And she's getting to like this truck driver. until he goes over the edge of a bridge, and she watches the truck fall into a ravine that may have a train tunnel or maybe a cave nearby. And she pulls out her cell phone, and of course, she's way out of coverage range. So what does she have to do? She has to go see that that truck driver is okay. But before she went down, before she got out of her car, she thought she saw something with red eyes in the road. And she has to go down and find out how that truck driver is doing and what made those red eyes. And mysteriously, what kind of cargo was that truck driver hauling? And this was read for Cryptid November. It is an event hosted by Fiber Artsy, that's Crystal. And she read this book too this month. I have not heard what she has to say. Now, I thought this was a fine little novella. It's about 115 pages long. My big issue is I think the author got a little lazy in spots. There is a portion right in the middle where there's a run of like 8 or 9 chapters, and every chapter begins with the word Addie, and Addie is the name of the main character. You know, Addie got out of her car, Addie tried the CB, Addie did this, Addie did that. It's not good writing when the first word of every chapter is always the same, even if it's an essential word like the main character's name. I just thought that was a very lazy way to write a book. Also, this book is a little bit too fast-paced. It does not get into the details of the characters or the environment as much as I normally would like. It's very much as if Laurel Hightower had a movie running through her head and she was writing the book to that film. So again, that's just another sample of lazy writing. Now, the ending, I kind of like the ending. It's a little ambiguous. I'm not entirely sure exactly what happened in the end, and that's good because a horror novel can have some ambiguity. So I would still give this book a thumbs up. I just wish the author had been a little more serious and done a little more polishing in her writing. I have finished my 17th book, The Concrete Smile by Frank Zeffiro. This is a short novella. It is part of a series known as A Grifter's Song. And this is about a pair of grifters named Sam and Rachel, out to grift people out of their money. And what's really curious about this series is that each entry is written by a different crime author. And this is the first in the series, and it is told about, I said, Sam and Rachel. And they have brought in another grifter with them, and they're going to fleece a businessman of some earnest money. And their idea is that they've set up a fake company that this businessman is going to want to buy. And there's a lot of machinations where they're faking him out and drawing him in. Rachel is sort of working for him as a temporary secretary or helpmate in his office. And they have another helpmate, an older woman named Gloria, who's just glowering at her. She hates it because Rachel is a youngish, pretty woman. And Gloria is, of course, is an older woman, kind of crony, I imagine her. But Sam and the other man, they're working on him. They're getting this guy to close the deal. And bilk him out of was it like $100,000? Somewhere around there. However, after they do this, they think, you know, the whole deal is supposed to be close to about $3 million but they're going to run with just the earnest money because it's a lot more dangerous. There's a lot more risk of getting caught. But the song of the grift, the idea that they can bilk this businessman for over $3 million becomes too much to resist because they're grifters. Now, this is a crime novel. You know things are going to go cattywampus. And they do. And I liked it. And I have the second book in the series on my Kindle already. And I think I'm going to read that maybe next week or the week after, because this was an enjoyable little crime novel. And I'll have to see how another author handles the characters. Now, again, this was a novella, so the character growth, it's a little on the light side and a little heavy on the grifting crime side, but that's okay. The second in the series is a little bit longer, and let's see how that author does with these two grifters. I have finished my 18th book, Heretics, The Wondrous and Dangerous Beginnings of Modern Philosophy, by Steve Ben Nadler, a father and son team. Father is the philosopher and author, and Ben is the illustrator. I am doing a full review of this, which will actually be released a day or two after this wrap up. So if you want more details, watch that. I'm just going to say this is nonfiction, graphic book about 17th century philosophy, and it's a winner. I have finished my 19th book for the 100 book challenge, and I don't do this very often on screen, but I will mark it as finished on this wonderful laminated sheet sent to me by MJ from Reading This Life. You can get your own plain paper version by going to her channel and looking in amongst her descriptions, and she can sell you one of these. Not a laminated version, but a regular paper version. And the book I have finished is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. It is one of the most famous science fiction novels ever written. It deservedly gets listed in the top 50, top 100, even top 10 science fiction novels in a lot of people's lists. It was originally written in the early 50s. Parts of it show, but this is a magnificent example of humanity meeting aliens for the first time. And it does not go exactly the way people expect. The aliens are called the Overlords, and they hang about in their spaceships over cities and basically create a utopian society for humans to live in. But the aliens have an ulterior motive. And what that motive is, you're going to have to find out for yourself. Now, the science in this is a little bit dated in places. You'll also find a couple different versions. I read the original version, but Arthur C. Clarke revised the first chapter and published that. That's due to the fact that this is written in the 50s, and we had not even reached the moon yet. And he published the new version after we had reached the moon and changed it to humans looking to go out into Mars. But he changed it to Russia because at the time it was believed that maybe, I should not say Russia, I should say the Soviet Union might have made it to Mars first. But I read the original version, and you will have to discover what the Overlords have really come to Earth for. Now, there is a part of this book at the ending that I'm a little bit off on. I don't think it really distracts from the main part of the book, but if you have read this, a major event happens towards the end of the book, and people react to that event in a certain way. I'm not sure if I was alive at the time and witnessed that event, I would react the same way, but that's just me. A lot of people would react that way. Well, anyway, this is a great piece of classic science fiction, and I highly recommend it. And I'm going to call that a wrap for week 3. It is Sunday evening. I doubt I will finish another book before I go to bed. So, until week 4, thank you for watching, and keep on reading.